Part 21, Jun-Lin. At this moment, there was a sound of anger not far away, which scared everyone to their knees. Turning his head, seeing Yi Yang still lying on the ground, he pulled Yi Yang's sleeve. Yi Yang turned over impatiently and sat up. He happened to see Jun Yi wearing a bright yellow dragon robe in the center of the platform. He cursed in his heart, and then knelt down honestly. Jun Yi was worried about his son at this time, so he didn't have time to pay attention to Yi Yang. He scolded the eunuchs and palace maids beside him. Trash. You can't even take care of a child. The little eunuch crying lowly beside his feet ordered, "Come here. Pull this little eunuch who dares to pretend to be the prince and behead it." Although Yi Yang was a little far from the emperor, the angry voice of the emperor reached his ears. He glanced at the little eunuch kneeling at the emperor's feet, and mourned for that little eunuch. Although he wanted to help the child, he knew that if he went up to help and speak, he would definitely die, so he could only be sorry. Just when he felt pity for the little eunuch, the calm little eunuch beside him suddenly stood up and ran towards the emperor. Yi Yang was startled, and subconsciously stood up to chase the little eunuch. The little eunuch ran so fast that Yi Yang didn't catch it. At this moment, Jun Yi noticed them and walked straight towards them. "It's over, it's over, it's over, I'm dying." Just as he was waiting for death to come, Jun Yi strode over. Couldn't help but raise his hand and slap the little eunuch. Seeing this, Yi Yang didn't even have a reaction in his mind, but his hand had already shot, holding the hand that only wanted to hit. The little eunuch was going to obediently recognize the slap, but Yi Yang helped him stop it, and he was both warm-hearted and worried for Yi Yang. Seeing that Yi Yang dared to stop himself, Jun Yi was so angry that his eyebrows stood upright, his body exuded a chilling chill, and his voice was like the ice and snow in the winter without a trace of temperature. "Yi Yang, are you courting death?" Yi Yang was frightened. He hurriedly withdrew his hand, froze on the spot and was a little overwhelmed, but the little eunuch beside him suddenly knelt down and cried, "Father, the son is wrong, please don't hurt Master Yi concubine." Father? Son? Yi Yang felt that his mind was a bit square. It was only now that he remembered. What kind of eunuch is this little eunuch? He is clearly the only child of the current emperor, Jun-Lin. No wonder he looked familiar to Jun-Lin before. It turned out that the other party was the son of the emperor. Damn, it's enough that none of them recognize Jun-Lin. Can't blame them for not recognizing Jun-Lin. Who made them all humble and never had a chance to see Jun-Lin? As for why Yi Yang felt familiar, it was because the original owner had seen Jun-Lin before. With a cold face, Jun Yi scolded, "I ask you to read and write, but that's how you read and write. It's okay to be naughty, and even let Xiao Juji pretend to be you sleeping in the bedroom. But you run out to play in the middle of the night." The more Jun Yi thought about it, the more angry he became, and he said to the guard behind him, "Yun Qing, please invite Taifu Zhang. I want to ask him how he taught the prince." Although Jun-Lin is playful, his heart is not bad. Seeing Jun Yi to be held accountable for his grandfather, his face turned pale with fright, and he hurriedly kowtowed to plead guilty. "Father, the son is wrong. Please punish the son, and don't hold the grandmaster responsible." At the end, Jun-Lin's tone was already a choked sound. But Jun Yi was unmoved. Seeing Yun Qing still standing there, he scolded in a deep voice, "Didn't you hear what I said?" Yun Qing was startled, and quickly turned around to ask for Taifu. When Jun-Lin saw that Jun Yi was determined to punish his grandfather, he climbed to Jun Yi's feet and cried and prayed, "Father, the minister is wrong. Please don't punish the grandfather." Jun Yi said with a cold face, unmoved by Jun-Lin's pleas. All the people around looked at the scene in front of them in silence. And no one dared to step forward to persuade Jun Yi, who was in a fit of anger. Yi Yang really couldn't stand it anymore. He knelt down and pleaded for Jun Lin. "Your Majesty." It was just that he just opened his mouth, and Jun Yi directly scolded, "Shut up for me." Yi Yang also felt anger in his heart at the moment. He is standing up. He looked at Jun Yi and said, "Your Majesty, although the first prince made a mistake, as a father, have you ever asked him why he went out alone in the middle of the night?" Yi Yang got along with Jun Lin last night, although he only got along with him in the middle of the night. He found that although the child of Jun Lin was young, his personality was calmer than that of the child of the same year. Seeing that Yi Yang dared to confront Jun Yi, the people around them secretly admired Yi Yang's death-defying behavior, especially concubine Ling, who wished Yi Yang would continue to kill. Xiao Doubting was also very frightened, and wanted to step forward to distinguish two sentences for his master, but when he saw Jun Yi with a pale face, he was so frightened that his whole body became weak, and he had no strength to support his body to move forward. "Yi Yang, you are too lenient." Jun Yi looked gloomy, and his meddling with Yi Yang had angered his bottom line. "Your Majesty, even if you think I am lenient, I will say that the prince almost died in the fire. As a father, do you really not feel sorry for your child at all?" Yi Yang couldn't believe it. This Jun Yi, he will ruthlessly disregard the life and death of his own son. Sure enough, his words succeeded in making the angry Jun Yi stunned for a moment, then turned to look at Jun Lin, who was kneeling on the ground, wiping away tears with the back of his hand, and asked, "Are you not injured?" Jun Yi's concern made him stunned. For a moment, he shook his head, stubbornly not letting the tears fall. "Get up, let me see." Jun Yi's expression softened a lot. Jun Lin stood up and looked at Jun Yi, with a hint of prayer in his tone. "Father, I will never dare again next time, please forgive the master." "Then tell me first, why did you change into Xiao Juji's clothes and go out to play last night?" Jun Yi was no longer angry at the beginning, and his tone was much softer. Mentioning this, Jun Lin's expression showed a touch of sadness, and he sobbed and replied, "My son misses the concubine, so I secretly ran to the palace where the concubine lived before, trying to find the traces of the concubine before her death." Jun Yi rubbed Jun Lin's nodding his head. He said softly, "Next time I want to go, I'll go with integrity. But the concubine's palace has been burned down." Thinking that he will never find any memories of his concubine in the future, he was only 8 years old. The old Jun Lin burst into tears. Jun Yi hugged the crying Jun Lin, and felt uncomfortable in his heart. He glanced at Yi Yang and found that Yi Yang had gone far away, leaving only a long back. Only at this moment did he seriously examine Yi Yang, but he found that he could not see through Yi Yang at all. The aftershocks continued to occur. Fearing that the main shock would happen again, the emperor went up to the palace, and the eunuchs and court ladies all rested and ate on the platform outside the Holy Harmony Hall. Yi Yang didn't bother about the problem of shape and appearance, so he lay directly on the ground, how to feel comfortable. "Master, can you get up?" Xiao Doubting looked at his master lying on the ground, with a headache. "I'm sleepy. I just want to sleep." Yi Yang looked at the thick dark clouds in the sky and knew that a heavy rain was coming, so he had to take a good sleep before the heavy rain came. Xiao Doubting wanted to pull Yi Yang up, but at this moment, many civil servants hurried over in official robes. Yi Yang hurriedly sat up, looked at these civil servants, and looked for the father of the original owner. There were many people who thought the same as him, and I saw many concubines craning their necks, looking at these civil servants, looking for acquaintances. Although some people found their father, they knew that their family members were here to see the emperor to report the disaster. They were obviously worried about their family members, but they did not dare to ask. Yi Yang also found the original owner's father in the civil service. He also wanted to ask the original owner's mother if there was anything wrong, but knowing that it was not a good time, he chose not to die, and waited for them to finish the challenge meeting.